Hey guys and welcome back. I'm Hannah and this is my channel Nomadic Unicorn. Last week I put out a video about the mistakes we made on our road trip in Western Australia, and one of you asked for some information on like practicalities. So I thought today that I'd sit down with you and tell you all of the information that you should need when buying a car in Australia. Buying a car as a backpacker can be risky. It's a massive chunk of your budget, but if you really want to see the country, driving around and road tripping is an absolutely fantastic way to do it. So I'm going to start off with the literal part of buying the car and then we'll move on to the stages after that. Quick disclaimer, I'm not an expert in cars and mechanics, buying vehicles, the legalities behind it all whatsoever. I'm only talking from my experience of buying a vehicle in Western Australia. It may be different in other states. Usually you'll see them on Gumtree. In your hostel there's usually other backpackers trying to sell their vehicles, and also from private dealers. Now there's pros and cons of buying from other backpackers. Usually the cars aren't so well maintained, you've got a bigger chance of them breaking down, but similarly private dealers also may not maintain their cars. One of the pros of buying from a backpacker is that usually as they run out of time towards the end of their working holiday, they're willing to knock quite a lot of money off, so you can get some quite cheap deals. Just weigh up whether it's worth the risk of the mechanical side of things later on. Once you've found a car that you're interested in, I recommend asking around your hostel to see if there's anyone that is a mechanic that you could hire out just for an hour or so to go and look at vehicles with you. If not, you could always get a mobile mechanic to come and have a look at a car that you're really interested in, but be prepared to pay them quite a lot. And failing that, if you're a female looking to buy a car, I would suggest that when you go and look at the vehicle, taking a male friend with you. They may have no idea on vehicles either, and I'm being very stereotypical here, you might have a lot of knowledge on cars as a female, but speaking from my own experience and other people's, generally we're not as interested. But having a guy with you can prevent you being ripped off as much, because the person selling the car perhaps wrongly assumes that they know their stuff and they're less likely to bull you. There are companies that do rentals like Travelers Autobarn that do sell some of their vehicles with a guaranteed buyback scheme. I'm a bit wary of these. I've heard some pretty bad stories about them. However, do your own research, read reviews on them. It is an option, but really look into it if you're thinking of going down that route. Something to be aware of when buying a vehicle is that the number plates do matter, or the license plates, depending on how you're used to calling them. They will have the beginning letters of the state that the car is from. So for Western Australia, WA, and then the numbers. For New South Wales, NSW numbers, Victoria, VIC numbers. And this matters because when you need to do the registration on the car, if you're registering it in Western Australia, but the car plates have New South Wales on them, you're going to have to pay for new plates, plate transfer fees, and all the other fees on top. So if you're buying a car in Western Australia, to save yourself some money and general aggro, try to get plates that are WA plates. It will just make your life so much easier. You will also need to have a permanent address for the state that you are doing the registration in. We used Irene's sister's address, but also you could use your hostel address if you're getting like bank paperwork or something there. As long as you've got proof of that address, it's fine. Another thing to look out for is whether the vehicle has any outstanding fines or like parking tickets or anything on it. There is a website you can go on to do that. I will try and find it and link it below, because you don't want to have to pay out those costs at a later date. So once you've bought the car, you fill in the paperwork and the notification of change of ownership form, which is known as the MR9 in Western Australia, with the seller. Do it there and then. Get them to fill that info in, because you're going to need it for the next part. To register the car and transfer it into your name, you're going to need to go to a Department of Transfer office. In Western Australia, you can do this online as well. I think it's the only state that this is possible to do so, but don't quote me on that. We actually went in person, we just thought it was going to be easier, and we had to take in our passport, our driver's license, and your driver's license needs to be in English or a international driver's license, proof of address, and the form that we filled in with the seller. And we had to go into the office and do that within 14 days of buying the car. So that is a legal requirement. If you take over 14 days, you will be fined, so be aware. In some states, you'll need a roadworthy certificate to take in with you as well. Western Australia is luckily not one of those states, which is why it's sometimes classed as the easiest state to buy a vehicle in. But just be aware and check out for whichever state that you're in and buying the vehicle in, whether you need that roadworthy certificate. The seller should provide that for you. In Western Australia, they have this really annoying thing which kind of screwed us over a little bit, and it's an extra form which is a declaration of a mobilization form. So most vehicles need to have a government approved immobilizer on them, and you can check this out with the seller or get a mechanic to have a look if you're really unsure. There are some vehicles that you don't need this for depending on their age and things, and I think there's a link on the Department of Transport website to check out whether your vehicle's exempt for it. Our vehicle sadly wasn't, and it didn't have an immobilizer fitted, so we had to get out a mobile mechanic to fit it, which cost us, I think, $120. In all honesty, we nearly didn't do this. We did think, who's gonna know? Like, how are they gonna check this? But the reason we did get it fitted was because we wanted to get fully comprehensive insurance, and we were concerned that if we did need to claim on the insurance, that because there was no immobilizer, that insurance would be invalid. We just wanted peace of mind that everything was legit and we weren't going to have any issues. So if you're going to lie about the immobilizer form, if you're in Western Australia, do so at your own risk. When you're in the office and you filled in all the forms and paperwork, there is some money that you're going to have to pay. First of all, if the registration is due, this I believe is also known as the vehicle license duty, but don't quote me on that. So if the registration, rego, is due, you're going to have to pay for that, and you can do that in a certain number of months at a time depending on how long you think you're going to have the car. And also you'll have to pay a transfer fee. Once you've done all the payments and everything else, you'll be given documents with that vehicle in your name, and you need to keep hold of those because on there is the slip that you will need to sell the car at a later date. So keep them nice and safe, make sure that they don't get lost or you have any problems there. Let's talk about insurance. So with the registration, the rego, you get I want to say third-party insurance, but it's not really third-party. If you have an accident, it covers any medical bills or disability payments for the people involved in that accident other than the responsible driver. It doesn't cover the vehicles in any way, it literally is just the people. So we, to be on the safe side, wanted to get further insurance, and to be honest, I'd recommend at least getting third party, which will cover the vehicles involved as well. You just don't want to back into, you know, Sheila's brand new caravan, which cost God knows how many thousands of dollars, and find yourself in deep trouble. Insurance is a lot cheaper than in the UK. I rang up the RAC with a ton of questions, as I'm sure you can imagine, and the woman there was awesome. I had heard that you couldn't get any sort of fully comprehensive or anything like that as a backpacker, but she reassured me you could. So we took out fully comprehensive insurance, and when I asked about the policy, because obviously they give you a cost for the whole year, I explained that we weren't going to be in the country for a whole year, that we were backpackers, and was told that all I needed to do is when we sold the vehicle or when we were leaving the country to ring up and cancel the insurance. She said there'd be a percentage of the time left to pay, and then that would be it. So I went with the RAC because they were so helpful, and we, I think, were paying $50 a month for fully comprehensive insurance on our 4x4, which was like $25 each per month, which is like £12.50, which is absolutely nothing. Okay, we're both over 25, so that made a difference, but neither of us have a long sort of driving history, so that seemed like a really good deal to me. And actually, when I did cancel the insurance at the end of our stay, when we had sold the car, I wasn't charged for the remainder of the time, and the best part was they actually paid me money back for insurance I'd paid out when we didn't have the vehicle. So thank you, RAC in Australia. Another thing that you might want to look at is breakdown cover, depending on where you're road tripping. This isn't essential, but it was something, again, we wanted as peace of mind because neither of us are mechanically or technically minded with vehicles in any way. So it was just a bit of a, yeah, peace of mind and backup that if there was a problem, we had that. And I think we paid $99 for a whole year, again with the RAC. We got it a little bit cheaper because we went with them for the insurance and we bought it on the same day. So that should, in theory, cover most of your questions about buying and registering a car in Australia. As I explained, different states, different rules, so do check that out. I'll try and put as many links down below as I can for you. So I really hope this video has been useful and that it will help you avoid any sort of scams and pitfalls of buying a car and registering a car. There's a lot to think about, it's a lot of information and it's confusing, especially in another country. So if you have got any advice for anyone else, put it down there. And if you've got any questions, let me know. I will do my best to answer them from a non-expert perspective. Until next time, much love, take care, bye. Now the magic happens. Coffee. It's 8 o'clock. Focus. So normally in the morning after I've had my coffee and woken up a little bit, the next thing that I do is get onto my laptop, go on YouTube and check out if anyone's left me any comments. This is one of my favourite